So, for my research proposal, I have decided to research the NCAA athletes and accessibility to mental health counseling. The reason why I chose this topic is because I was once a NCAA Division II student athlete. I played soccer in the Division II NCAA, so I've had experience being a student athlete and everything that comes with that, including the mental health side of things. Um, a part of my reason to become a mental health counselor is because I didn't receive effective and accessible mental health counseling when I was a student athlete and when I felt that I could use it the most and when I really needed it. The purpose of my research proposal is to identify a lack of mental health outlets for NCAA student athletes and to make sure that effective mental health counseling is being received by all student athletes. So, to begin, the summary of the literature is that there's a limited effective mental health counseling outlets for student athletes to access. Many student athletes don't even know that they can access mental health counseling. Those student athletes who do have access are not always sure if the counseling outlets need to be perfected or improved. Sometimes they're kind of just unsure of the whole process of the mental health counseling and they don't know what they don't know. So honestly, we don't know if the students think that they are receiving effective mental health counseling throughout their time as a NCAA student athlete. So to start my research question is in two parts. Currently, what outlets are being offered to NCAA student athletes and how can those outlets become more accessible or improved? I believe that having easily accessible mental health counseling options would benefit many young collegiate student athletes in their performance in the classroom and in their sport on the field or court, wherever their sport is. I think that this would be very beneficial to their overall performance in life. The study design is qualitative, and the reason for choosing the qualitative study is because we want to know what the student athletes themselves perceive. So we want to know the perceived accessibility of the counseling outlets and what the quality of care they receive. So the study design would provide us, as the researchers, firsthand accounts of what the student athletes recognize when looking for and receiving the mental health counseling. And from this design, we would be able to understand the narrative information from students who um, have done the survey, and from those surveys we have received them, we would be able to use that in our design. More on the integration. Integrating is a more effective and accessible form of mental health counseling, and it's kind of a no-brainer when you think about it. When student athletes feel that they are not receiving the help they need, or they don't know which path to follow to receive the help that they need, God will lead them in the right direction for the treatment they need. From Trends in College Student Athletes, Mental Health, and the National College Association, they detail on how attempted suicide, substance abuse, and eating disorders are higher amongst student athletes than non-student athletes. With the help of athletic trainers guiding them to the resources that they would need to receive help for their mental health, they've seen those rates decrease, and that comes from Edwards et al. 2021. So it begins by educating coaches, athletic trainers, whoever's going to be a direct resource for these student athletes. Um, they will be able to direct these athletes on what to do and where to go to receive the help that they need. So, due to new improvements based on the needs of the student athletes, and they, based on these needs from the student athletes, they are receiving better help. So, this is one way that there's a direct impact on the student athletes and why this research would directly impact the field of mental health. COVID-19 pandemic created many stressors for current student athletes and also student athletes that were first coming to college as a freshman. I mean, there were many, many stressors with the whole unknown of everything. So now student athletes are having to deal with the impact of that pandemic, and they need direction on how to navigate their emotions and stressors. And that comes from Levine et al. 2022. Professionals in the world of collegiate athletes need to be educated to identify and react in a helpful way to provide useful and effective information that the student athletes can use to receive the help that they need. So, by having these professionals being able to identify what student athletes are needing and some of those options for these student athletes and their mental health, this is going to impact student athletes on a positive scale and hopefully get them the help that they are needing and the help that they are looking for, where they're able to see positive aspects come out of that mental health counseling. Thank you so much for listening to my research proposal. I appreciate it.